From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, April 26th, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.7 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,279. Antiwar.com reports Turkish warplanes carried out a series of coordinated attacks against U.S. allied Kurdish forces in both northern Iraq and northeastern Syria on Tuesday, killing more than 20 people, including at least 18 troops loyal to the Kurdish YPG, and pounding the area around the Iraqi city of Sinjar. Attacks within Syrian territory targeted the city of Darik and Hasakah province, targeting Kurdish military posts. The U.S. arms and heavily backs the YPG, something Turkey has long complained about. The strikes reflect long-standing Turkish threats to move against the Syrian Kurds. But it's not just Syria. The strikes around Sinjar in Iraq were after PKK fighters in the area, with Turkey's President Erdogan insisting that he will never allow Sinjar to become a PKK base of operations. The PKK established a presence in Sinjar during the expulsion of the Islamic State and have been largely welcomed by the local Yazidi population. The attacks on Sinjar also killed Iraqi Kurdish Peshmerga forces, who were supposed to be Turkey's allies. Erdogan insisted that the killing of the Peshmerga was unintentional and that he regretted that they got swept up in the strikes. Turkey's interventions in Syria have become commonplace, and strikes against PKK targets in Iraq's far north were also not uncommon. This is something else, however, with more strikes centering around populated areas and against specifically the Islamic State fighters.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a U.S. judge on Tuesday blocked President Donald Trump's executive order that sought to withhold federal funds from so-called sanctuary cities, dealing another legal blow to the administration's efforts to toughen immigration enforcement. The ruling from U.S. District Judge William Orrick III in San Francisco said Trump's executive order targeted broad categories of federal funding for sanctuary governments and that plaintiffs challenging the order were likely to succeed in proving it unconstitutional. The Republican president's moves on immigration have galvanized legal advocacy groups along with Democratic city and state governments to oppose them in court. The administration suffered an earlier defeat when two federal judges suspended executive orders restricting travel from several Muslim-majority countries. The federal government has appealed those decisions. Reince Priebus, Trump's White House chief of staff, told reporters the administration was taking action to appeal the ruling, adding the idea that an agency can't put in some reasonable restrictions on how some of these monies are spent is something that will be overturned eventually. Priebus added, "It's the Ninth Circuit going bananas," referring to the West Coast Judicial District where the judge ruled. Priebus added, "We'll win at the Supreme Court level at some point." The U.S. Department of Justice said in a statement they would follow existing federal law with respect to sanctuary jurisdictions, as well as enforce conditions tied to federal grants. Sanctuary cities generally offer safe harbor to undocumented immigrants and often do not use municipal funds or resources to advance the enforcement of federal immigration laws. The Trump administration contends that local authorities endanger public safety when they decline to hand over for deportation undocumented immigrants arrested for minor crimes. The executive order by Trump, who made cracking down on undocumented immigration a cornerstone of his presidential campaign, directed such funding to be restricted once the Homeland Security Department determines what constitutes a sanctuary city. Santa Clara County, which includes the city of San Jose and several smaller Silicon Valley communities, sued in February saying Trump's order was unconstitutional. San Francisco filed a similar lawsuit. In his ruling, Orrick said the language of the order made it clear that it sought to withhold funds beyond law enforcement. Orrick wrote, "If there was any doubt about the scope of the order, the President and Attorney General have erased it with their public comments." The judge cited comments from Trump calling the order a weapon to use against jurisdictions that disagree with his immigration policies. Orrick added federal funding that bears no meaningful relationship to immigration enforcement cannot be threatened merely because a jurisdiction chooses an immigration enforcement strategy of which the President disapproves. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.